Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and today we're talking about unbiased jurors. That's right. Friend of the channel, David, sent in a piece written by a gentleman with a tremendous name, Thaddeus Hoffmeister, of the University of Dayton, was writing about a recent voir dire process. And if you're not familiar with what voir dire is, it is something that takes place at the start of a trial. And voir dire specifically means speak the truth. And essentially, you're questioning jurors to find out if they harbor any prejudice or bias that might harm their ability to be able to fairly and neutrally weigh the facts of the case and make a decision, right? And what this piece touches upon, which I will link below, is this idea that uh, one of the attorneys wanted the judge during voir dire to ask, "What have you seen about this case in the media?" And well, it's two parts. They wanted to ask, "Have you seen anything about the case in the media?" And two, "What have you seen?" And the judge only did half of that. They asked, "Have you seen anything about the case in the media?" But not what. And basically, the piece, the gist of the article is that voir dire should be built out, right? There should be a bit more in-depth process with further questions, because it's the nature of our era today that people are heavily influenced by social media, and these jurors, they might, especially on a high-profile case, they might come with a lot of ideas from a lot of talking heads on TV, 24-hour news cycle, YouTube, podcast, Facebook, all these things, right? And it might be really hard to identify their prejudice. So they should have a more built out, a more in depth voir dire process. And the idea is to try and find unbiased jurors. Now, I would argue that an unbiased juror never existed, and that's because human beings love the sense of other, right? I'm me, I'm part of we, you're other. You're something other than me and we. And that makes me feel like I'm part of this and you're not, right? And human beings are obsessed with that. Obsessed with it. I know I often reference the song from the play Avenue Q, the musical. I believe the name of the song is "Everyone's a Little Bit Racist." That's inherently true, right? Every time a human being sees someone that looks different, they have thoughts. You're different. I wonder what you're like. You're different. I bet you do this. I bet you think this. I bet you like this. What is that? That is beliefs based on someone's race or appearance, right? And generally speaking, it holds true that everyone's a little bit racist. People have assumptions. People assume things, positive, negative, neutral, even, right? I bet you that person likes gravy on their turkey. I can tell. Just looking at him, right? Like, okay, well, they may or they may not. Also, I don't know if that's negative or positive. Probably neither. But you're making assumptions based on appearance, based on potentially race or other factors, other protected classes. A variety of things. Based on an assumption of otherness, right? So then the question becomes: did social media make that worse? Well, I'm not a sociologist or an anthropologist. I mean, I probably can't answer that question, but based on a quick read of history, it seems like humans have always been pretty excited by placing people in the category of other, right? Um, Seems to be something of a species-wide passion, right? Um, just to irrationally say, "You're not like me. You're different." And often they take it a step further and say, "You're different, and that makes me think I'm better than you." That's really bad for everybody involved. It's bad for the species. It's bad for the individuals. It's bad. It's bad for society. That is a horrible, irrational, detrimental way to think. It also appears to be somewhat inescapable without a lot of work, right? And do I think social media makes that worse? I don't know. I mean, in the era of social media, it does seem like society, our society, which is so heavily impacted by social media, has become more inclusive. That is not to say it is as inclusive as it should be, but we've definitely been on a more inclusive path. Things are getting better. We are failing many, many, many demographics, groups, protected classes in extraordinary ways. Like failures that should make us want to harm ourselves. That's like to live in shame, hang our heads, and just never come out in light because of how horrible we've done. But we are objectively doing better. And much of that occurred during the era of social media. So, internal prejudice, I don't know if it's worse. It could even be better. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe social media is helping. Now, let's not confuse that with people thinking they know what to think about a case before they hear the facts of the case. That's different, right? If you're hopping on Facebook, apparently it's a controller, I don't know, I guess it's in your phone here, and you read somebody write up the facts of the case as an opinion piece, and that's basically what most news is now, it's opinion pieces, right? Well, that's going to influence you, right? Because if you like that journalist, that talking head, that author, that personality, if you like that, if the things they say make you happy, you're going to be inclined to adopt the things they're saying about this case that you haven't seen yet, right? And that's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Doesn't mean you couldn't change your mind based on what you hear during the case, but it does make it less likely that you would change your mind. And I think, based on what I know about how much jurors actually listen to a trial, I think the danger is pretty insurmountable. So, I do want to know, in voir dire, have you heard anything about this case? Anywhere? Great, thank you. Tell me what you've heard. I want to know that. Problem with that. Everybody who heard things that one side doesn't like, that side's going to try to strike them, right? Try to get them out of the jury box. Everybody who heard things from the other side, that the other side of this trial, maybe the plaintiff, the defendant, whoever it is, the other parties, doesn't like, they're then also going to strike these people. Different people, right? And what do you get left? Not too many people. And potentially, depending on how many strikes people have in your local rules, maybe not enough people. Or, also, not ideal, everybody's striking until they're out of strikes, and you just get whoever's left. No matter what, with no ability to strike them anymore. Well, that's not great either. So, we've identified a problem, and that's the first step. We can agree, right? We need to know we have a problem. I don't have an answer. I've been thinking about it all day. Do you have an answer? Can we talk about an answer down below? I would love to have an answer. David, you brought this up. Do you have an answer? I'm not saying it's your job to have an answer. I'm just saying, hey, you're a clever guy. I'd like to know. Channel project? Maybe we could make an answer. We could figure out a couple answers. And hold them up for scrutiny and say, hey, we had a couple thoughts. What does everybody think? Right? Do I think maybe I have delusions of grandeur? Grandeur? I can't even say it. Anyways, unbiased jurors. Myth? Possibly. Like and subscribe down below. It helps me to help more people just like you. And comment down below. Because we see the problem. We just don't have any answers.